Hello, I'm Fred Growcock, Chair of the IADC Technical Publications Committee, or TPC, welcoming you to our video podcast, Drilling In, about Sam Bridges and Leon Robinson's book, A Practical Handbook for Drilling Fluids Processing, which was actually published by Elsevier in February of 2020. But first, a word about the TPC. The committee was formed more than 20 years ago for the purpose of compiling and publishing books on drilling oil and gas wells. Its mission today, though, is even more comprehensive. That is, we've incorporated other subjects such as geothermal drilling. Okay, and so now we are actually focused on the entire energy industry. The 60-member TPC has published 11 books. Now, something about the authors. First, Samuel, or Sam, Bridges is currently the Applications Engineering Manager at Derrick Corporation in Houston. He provides technical expertise on drilling solids equipment for contractors and operators worldwide. Now, previously, he was active in the U.S. Navy, assisting in program management in Afghanistan. He was an assistant officer in charge of construction post-Katrina in Mississippi, and he was a facilities operation officer in Iraq. Oh, and I forgot, he was also a public works officer in the Navy based in Washington, D.C. Now, Sam is a registered professional engineer in the state of Texas, and he's a member of the Society of Petroleum Engineers, and he's also a member of the Society of the American Military Engineers. He earned a B.S. in Mechanical Engineering from New Mexico State University. Now, his co-author, Leon Robinson, or Doc, as most of us have known him, retired after a nearly 40-year career with Exxon, serving as a research engineer and research advisor for worldwide drilling operations, and also a 25-year career as a drilling instructor, primarily with PetroSkills. Before Exxon, he taught physics at Clemson University, University of Chattanooga, and North Carolina State College. Leon graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Industrial Physics from Clemson, a Master of Science in Physics from Clemson, and a PhD in Engineering Physics from North Carolina State College. He earned over 55 patents, authored multiple articles, and co-authored the Driller's Knowledge Book with Juan Garcia. He was inducted into the IADE Hall of Fame and received the SPE Drilling Legend Award. Sadly, Leon passed away in 2019. And now, on to the interview. Mr. Sam Bridges, why did you write this book?
Well, Fred, great question. The last book that was written particularly about solids control and fluids processing was published back in 2005. The late Doc Leon and I decided that it was time to provide a more comprehensive and updated practical handbook that would allow readers to implement basic fluids processing concepts in the field.
So, what is it about?
Well, this book is a must-have reference in understanding how to safely process drilling fluids and optimize drilling fluids processing systems. Drilling fluids serve a critical purpose in the drilling operation, and drilling fluid engineers are trained through an intensive and quick process before going into the field. A functional guide is needed to navigate through these systems and learn the technology, and to be prepared for complex operations. A practical handbook for drilling fluids processing delivers a much-needed reference for drilling fluid and mud engineers to safely understand how the drilling fluid processing operation affects the drilling process. Agitation and blending of new additions to the surface system are explained in great detail. Tank arrangements are covered as well as operating guidelines for the surface system. Rounding it out with a solutions chapter and additional instruction and appendix with equation derivations. This book, A Practical Handbook for Drilling Fluids Processing, gives today's drilling fluid engineers a tool to understand the technology available and a step-by-step guidelines on how to safely evaluate surface systems in the oil and gas fields.
So, who is your audience?
Well, drilling fluid engineers, of course, petroleum researchers, mud engineers, petroleum engineering graduate students, as well as petroleum engineers. This book is designed to be used as a classroom workbook to lead professionals through the technology of creating a properly processed, clean drilling fluid. Most of the problems were problems actually encountered on drilling rigs, which are not processing the drilling fluid properly. Both students and recently entering the drilling industry and experienced practicing engineers will find the technology available in simple terms and step-by-step guidelines on how to evaluate surface systems in the field.
Okay. So did you include learning aids, such as quizzes?
Yes, actually, most of the chapters, like I mentioned earlier, have sample problems. There's an entire chapter at the end of the book with detailed solutions and explanations to these problems.
So what general do's and don'ts can you share with us?
Well, first off, do's. Take the time and effort to conduct a comprehensive evaluation of your drilling fluids processing system. Okay. A lot of problems or issues associated with drilling can be discovered by conducting an evaluation of the fluids processing system. Mm-hmm. And it can be as simple as a leaky valve or a misplaced pump. Mm-hmm. A second thing to do would be to consult with industry experts. It's always a great idea to consult with equipment manufacturers on proper setup, operation, maintenance, and application of rig-specific equipment.
Makes sense.
Third thing to do would be seek methods for improvement. First, establish an operational baseline, then seek methods for improvement through trial and error. Some of the don'ts: don't ignore solids problems. If an increase in solids is an issue during a drilling operation, it's always a good idea to address it early before it becomes a bigger problem. A rapid increase in drilled solids concentration in the active drilling fluid system can be very costly, not only in dilution fluid, but other parts, spare parts, filter cake quality, torque and drag, downhole damage, etc. Don't rely on old practices. Drilling fluid systems have evolved and become much more complicated over the recent years. Avoid statements like, I've been doing this way for 30 years. Current drilling techniques have become much more complicated and aggressive and require a more comprehensive approach to drilling fluids treatment and processing.
Well, given how important the concept of sustainability is these days, how did you incorporate that into the book?
That's a great question. Drilling fluids processing efficiency is explained in great detail in one of the chapters in the book. In the process of extracting energy resources from the earth, many factors in the treatment of the drilling fluid used to drill to and through the reservoir can affect the efficiency at which the objective is achieved. Maintaining a clean drilling fluid through the drilling process can provide a lower carbon footprint environment by reducing the amount of drilling fluid products required, waste volume, time on well, power consumption, and ultimately carbon emissions.
So, what do you see as the future of this technology?
Well, in an effort to find methods to increase drilling efficiency in a dynamic drilling environment with increasing challenges, I see the need for continuing improvement in drilling fluids processing techniques. Personally, I've recently encountered many drilling rigs with antiquated systems, drilling fluid processing systems that need to be addressed. And these can lead to increased non-productive time, to include stuck pipe, more time on well, downhole tool washouts, pit cleaning, rig fluid end part failures, and ultimately increased drilling costs.
Well, are there any other projects in the works that you'd like to talk about?
Yes, actually, the decanning centrifuge application on oil and gas drilling fluid systems. There was a great article written about 20 years ago by Eugene Blouse that addresses the application of centrifuges on a drilling fluid. So I'm looking at expanding. There's a chapter in the book that focuses on centrifuge and application, but expanding on that a little bit more to give a little bit more clear guidance on the application of utilizing a decanning centrifuge on a drilling fluid. There's a lot of variables at stake, and proper techniques and application can either help or hinder the fluid properties.
Well, there you have it. Okay, from the author's mouth, this is a practical handbook for drilling fluid processing. If you're interested in getting a copy of this book, check out the IADC bookstore, the Elsevier website, TechStreet, or even Amazon.